Lisa Morgan stared at her computer screen, her eyes burning from too many hours without rest. The small office at NASA's SETI division was quiet at 3 in the morning. Only the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep from monitoring equipment broke the silence. For the past 6 months, Lisa had been tasked with organizing decades of deep space signal data. It was meant to be a temporary assignment, busy work while funding decisions were made about the future of the program. Most people would have found it boring, but Lisa saw it as an opportunity. She believed there was value in the old data that modern algorithms might have missed. Tonight, something caught her attention, a pattern in signals collected 30 years ago from the direction of HD 4307, a star system 42 light-years from Earth. The original analysts had flagged it as anomalous but inconclusive and moved on. But Lisa noticed something they hadn't. The signal repeated in a specific mathematical sequence. She ran it through her custom filtering program again. The pattern remained consistent. This wasn't random noise or a pulsar or any natural phenomenon she knew of. This looked designed. Lisa reached for her phone and called Dr. Frank Moore, her supervisor. She knew he wouldn't appreciate a middle-of-the-night call, but this couldn't wait. "Frank, it's Lisa. I found something you need to see." 12 hours later, Frank stood behind Lisa's chair, watching as she pulled up multiple signals on her monitors. "I started with the HD 4307 signal from 2017, Lisa explained, pointing to a visual representation of the data. "But once I identified the pattern, I searched for similar structures in the entire database. Look what I found." Frank leaned closer as Lisa displayed a timeline showing dozens of similar signals received over 5 decades, originating from different points across the galaxy. "They all contain the same basic structure," Lisa said, "but with variations. Like, different people sending the same type of message." Frank rubbed his beard. "If what you're suggesting is true, that these are intentional communications from multiple sources, why weren't they properly identified before?" "Because they're subtle," Lisa replied. "They were designed to look like background noise unless you knew exactly what to look for. And each one was analyzed separately by different teams over many years. Nobody connected the dots." Frank pulled up a chair and sat down. "So what do they say? Can you decode them?" Lisa shook her head. "Not entirely, not yet. But I've extracted what seems to be a repeating element." She typed commands into her computer and a series of symbols appeared on screen. "It's mathematical in nature, and based on the frequency and positioning, I believe it's a warning." "A warning of what?" Frank asked. "I don't know yet. But here's the concerning part." Lisa pulled up a graph showing the frequency of received signals over time. The messages started rare and sporadic, then increased dramatically about 40 years ago. Then 15 years ago, they suddenly stopped. All of them. No matter the origin point. Frank stared at the graph, his expression darkening, as if whatever they were warning about finally happened. 3 days later, Lisa and Frank met with the director of NASA and representatives from the National Security Agency. What had begun as Lisa's late-night discovery had quickly escalated to a matter of potential global security. "We've brought in Alan Winters," Frank announced to the room, gesturing to a thin man with wild gray hair who sat nervously adjusting his glasses. "He's the best cryptographer I know." Alan cleared his throat. "I've been working with the data for the past 48 hours, he said, his voice soft but intense. "And while I can't give you a complete translation yet, I can tell you this. These messages form a network, a warning system spread across multiple star systems." He projected images onto the main screen, showing maps of star systems with highlighted pathways between them. "Based on what we've decoded so far, there was or is an alliance of civilizations called something like the Stellar Concordat. They established this communication network as an early warning system." "Warning about what?" the NASA director asked. Alan's face grew somber. "A threat they refer to as the Harvesters. From what we can piece together, they're a spacefaring species that moves from system to system, stripping planets of resources and eliminating any civilization they encounter." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "The messages contain coordinates," Lisa added. "What we believe are safe locations, technical information that might help with defense systems, and methods to avoid detection. And you're certain these messages were intended for us? Asked the NSA representative. Frank nodded. They were specifically directed at our solar system, repeated over decades. They wanted to make sure we received them, even if it took multiple attempts. Which brings us to the most urgent question, Lisa said, pulling up the timeline again. Why did the messages stop 15 years ago? Did the threat pass us by? Or... She didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone in the room understood the alternative, that the civilizations sending the warnings had fallen silent because they no longer existed. Over the next week, as Alan made progress decoding the messages, they revealed more details about the harvesters and their pattern of destruction. The warnings became increasingly urgent over time, suggesting that the threat was moving in Earth's direction. Lisa spent her days analyzing the data and her nights staring at the stars from her apartment balcony, wondering if some of those distant points of light no longer had planets orbiting them, or if their planets no longer harbored life. The final breakthrough came when Alan decoded a section containing visual data, images showing the destruction of entire planets, along with star charts marking the harvester's path of devastation across the galaxy. In an emergency meeting with government officials from around the world, Lisa and her team presented their findings. Based on the trajectory and timing, Lisa explained, pointing to a star chart, we believe the harvesters have already decimated hundreds of worlds, and according to these warnings, their pattern of movement puts our solar system directly in their path. How much time do we have? Asked one of the officials. Lisa exchanged glances with Frank and Alan before answering. We're not sure. The last message we received was 15 years ago. The silence since then could mean many things. But if they maintain the pace documented in these warnings... She took a deep breath before continuing. They could already be at the edges of our solar system. Or they could arrive tomorrow. We simply don't know. As the room erupted in urgent discussions, Lisa looked down at her notes, at the fragments of desperate messages sent across vast distances by civilizations trying to save others from their fate. Earth had finally opened its inbox, but she couldn't help wondering if they had done so too late. 1 month after Lisa Morgan's discovery, the world had changed. Governments around the globe formed a united response team, pooling resources and sharing information like never before. The public was still in the dark. Officials feared widespread panic, but behind closed doors, plans were made. Lisa now worked in a new underground facility built rapidly beneath a mountain in Colorado. Her small office at NASA was replaced by a vast room filled with the best technology Earth had to offer. Alan Winters had his own team of 20 cryptographers working around the clock to decode more of the alien messages. I think we've got something, Alan said, hurrying into the main control room where Lisa and Frank were reviewing satellite data. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but there was excitement in his voice. He pulled up a complex diagram on the main screen. We've fully decoded the core warning message, and it's more detailed than we thought. Frank stepped closer to the screen. What does it tell us? The Stellar Concordat was an alliance of 27 different civilizations, Alan explained. They formed it after the first worlds fell to the harvesters. The messages were part of a coordinated effort to warn less advanced worlds. Lisa studied the translated text. It says the harvesters aren't just destroying, they're collecting. Alan nodded. They don't just strip planets for resources. They gather biological samples, technology, cultural artifacts, anything they find, unique or valuable. Then they destroy everything else. Why? Frank asked. What's the purpose? The messages don't say, Alan replied, but they do provide a lot of information about the harvesters' methods, their technology, and most importantly, their weaknesses. A tall woman in a military uniform joined them. This was General Olivia Carter, recently appointed to lead Earth's defense preparations. Show me these weaknesses, she said, her voice firm but calm. Alan pulled up more decoded information. The harvesters operate in a pattern. First, they send small scout ships to assess a planet's value. Then, if they find it worthwhile, larger vessels arrive. They always target communication systems first, then power grids, then military installations. And the weaknesses? General Carter pressed. Their ships use a type of energy field we don't fully understand yet, Alan said. But according to these messages, the field can be disrupted by specific radio frequencies, and their scanning technology has blind spots, ways to hide from their detection systems. As they discussed the new information, Dr. Peter Novak, an astronomer from the Lunar Observatory, joined the video conference. "You need to see this," he said, his face grim. He shared his screen showing telescope images of a distant star system. "This is Tau Ceti, 12 light-years away, one of the systems mentioned in the alien messages as a stellar concordat member. The images showed a solar system in ruins. Where planets should have been, there were now rings of debris and unusual energy patterns. We've been pointing our best telescopes at all the star systems mentioned in the messages," Peter explained. "So far, we've looked at 17 systems. 15 show signs of catastrophic damage consistent with what the messages describe as harvester activity." Lisa felt a chill run through her. "What about the other 2? "No signs of damage," Peter said. "But no signs of response to our signals either. They could be hiding or—" He didn't need to finish the sentence. The room fell silent. Frank turned to General Carter. "We need to step up preparations. If these civilizations with technology far beyond ours couldn't stop the harvesters, we need to be smarter," Lisa interrupted. "These messages weren't just warnings. They were trying to give us an advantage they didn't have, preparation time." General Carter nodded. "Dr. Morgan is right. We can't match them for technology, but we can be ready. We need to understand everything in these messages." Over the next 2 weeks, the team made progress decoding the technical sections of the messages. They contained designs for shielding technology, energy weapons, and detection systems far beyond Earth's current capabilities. Engineers and scientists worked day and night to understand and adapt what they could. Lisa focused on a different aspect of the messages, trying to predict when the harvesters might arrive. She analyzed movement patterns described in the warnings, calculating their speed and the time between attacks. One evening, as she worked late in the control room, Alan rushed in, clutching a tablet. "Lisa, I found something we missed," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "A small section of code in one of the earliest messages. It was hidden differently than the rest." He showed her his screen. "It's a message from a specific individual, not the standard warning. Someone called the archivist." Lisa read the decoded text, her heart racing. "This says there are survivors, worlds that escape destruction by going into hiding." Alan nodded excitedly. "And it gives coordinates, not precise locations, but regions of space where survivors might be found." "We need to try to contact them," Lisa said. "They might know more about the harvesters, might have better technology to fight them." They brought their discovery to General Carter and the other leaders. After much debate, it was decided that Earth would attempt to send a message to the coordinates provided, while continuing preparations for defense. Dr. Peter Novak was given the task of designing a message that the survivors might recognize as coming from a world that had received the Concordate's warnings. He worked with linguists and mathematicians to create something that would identify Earth as a potential ally, without revealing too much information that could be intercepted. 3 days later, the message was sent from Earth's most powerful deep space communication array. Now all they could do was wait and hope for a response. While they waited, strange readings began coming in from deep space probes at the edge of the solar system. Something was disturbing the normal patterns of cosmic dust and radiation in the Kuiper Belt. Lisa and Frank studied the data with growing concern. The disturbances were subtle but consistent with what the warnings described as the approach of harvester scout ships. "How long do we have?" General Carter asked when they reported their findings. Lisa looked at the calculations she'd been working on. Based on their standard approach pattern described in the messages and the current disturbances we're seeing, 2 months, maybe less. General Carter's face hardened. "Then we have 2 months to prepare Earth for the greatest threat it has ever faced." As the meeting ended, Lisa stayed behind, looking at the star charts on the main screen. Somewhere out there, the harvesters were coming. and Earth's only hope might be the survivors of their previous attacks, if they were still out there, and if they were willing to help. 10 days after sending their message into deep space, Earth received a response. It came in the middle of the night, detected first by a listening station in Australia. Within minutes, Lisa Morgan and the entire crisis team were called to the Colorado facility. The signal origin is consistent with one of the coordinates in the archivist's message, Dr. Peter Novak explained as they gathered around the main screen. It's weak but clear. Lisa felt her heart race as Alan Winters and his team worked to decode the transmission. This could be their first contact with another living civilization, one that had survived the harvesters. I've got it, Alan said, after 20 minutes of tense silence. It's using a variation of the mathematical language from the warning messages, but with modifications to prevent interception. He displayed the decoded message on the main screen. It was primarily visual, symbols, and diagrams instead of words. It's from someone calling themselves the Archivist, Alan explained, the same title mentioned in that hidden message we found. Frank Moore studied the images. What exactly are we looking at? Records, Alan said. The Archivist is sending us images from worlds that fell to the harvesters, along with technical data about their attacks. The room grew silent as everyone viewed the horrifying footage. The images showed massive ships entering atmospheres, strange machines that processed entire cities, and scenes of devastation unlike anything they had imagined. The archivist says he's the last survivor of his world, Alan continued, translating more of the message. He's been collecting information about the harvesters for decades, hiding in a shielded outpost. General Carter stepped forward. Ask him what we're up against. How many ships? What kind of weapons? Lisa and Alan worked together to craft a response, using the same mathematical language. They sent it immediately, then waited. 3 hours. Later, the archivist replied with a much longer transmission. This is incredible, Lisa said as she began analyzing the new data. He's sending us everything he knows about the harvesters. Over the next 2 days, the team worked to process the wealth of information. The archivist had provided detailed scans of harvester technology, records of their attack patterns, and most importantly, an explanation of what they were. They're not a natural species, Lisa explained during the briefing with world leaders. At least not anymore. According to the archivist, the harvesters were once organic beings, but they've merged with machines over thousands of years of evolution. She displayed images of the harvesters themselves, tall, spindly creatures with both biological and mechanical parts. They see themselves as collectors of the universe's wonders, Lisa continued. They harvest biological specimens, technology, art, anything they consider special or unique. What they can't take, they destroy. How do they choose their targets? Asked the President of the United States. They detect civilizations through their technology signatures, Frank explained. Particularly advanced computing systems and energy production. Earth has been giving off these signatures for decades. And once they target a world? Asked another leader. Lisa pulled up more images from the archivist's data. They follow a specific pattern. Scout ships first, then harvesters, then processors. The entire cycle takes about 2 weeks from first arrival to completion. The silence in the room was heavy. There's one more thing, Alan added. The archivist believes the harvesters are following a specific path through the galaxy, moving in a spiral pattern. Based on the timing of attacks on other worlds, they should reach Earth in approximately 6 weeks. Panic rippled through the assembled leaders, but General Carter raised her hand for calm. We also have good news, she said firmly. The archivist has provided us with defensive technologies that might help us, and most importantly, he's confirmed that other civilizations have survived by hiding or disguising their worlds. Work began immediately on implementing the archivist's suggestions. Engineers worked to modify Earth's satellites with shielding technology, while others developed weapons based on the alien designs. But progress was slow. Much of the technology was beyond Earth's manufacturing capabilities. They could understand the principles but couldn't replicate all the components. 2 weeks later, another message came from the archivist. This one contained something unexpected. A complete database of scientific and cultural knowledge from dozens of fallen civilizations. He calls it the Galactic Archive, Lisa explained to the team. It's everything these civilizations wanted to preserve. Their science, art, history, biology. He's been collecting it for years, saving what he could before the harvesters arrived. Why send it to us now? Frank asked. Alan, who had been translating the accompanying message, looked up, with concern, because he doesn't think he'll survive much longer. His hiding place has been compromised. He believes the harvesters have detected his transmissions to us. Lisa felt a chill. We need to warn him to stop sending messages. It's too late, Alan said quietly. This transmission includes footage from his outpost. The harvesters are already there. They watched in horror as the video showed strange ships approaching a small station built into an asteroid. The final images from the archivist showed the doors of his shelter being cut open by mechanical arms. His last message was brief. You are not alone. Many survived. Hidden. Waiting. Find them. Then the transmission cut off. The loss of their only alien contact hit the team hard. Lisa spent that night staring at the stars, wondering if the archivist had been captured or killed, and if Earth would soon face the same fate. The next morning, she gathered with Frank Allen and General Carter to discuss their next steps. We have less than 4 weeks now, Lisa said. The archivist's data confirms our timeline. We need to make a decision about our strategy. General Carter nodded grimly. Based on everything we've learned, we have 2 options. We can try to fight, using the technology we've managed to develop, or we can try to hide. Hide an entire planet? Frank asked skeptically. Lisa pulled up diagrams from the archivist's data. Not physically hide, but mask our technological signature. Make Earth appear uninhabited or already harvested. That would mean shutting down most of our power grids and computer systems, Alan pointed out. Billions would be affected. But billions might survive, General Carter replied. Whereas a direct confrontation with technology we barely understand, the debate continued for hours. Finally, they reached a compromise. They would prepare for both options, developing defensive systems while also creating a plan to quickly reduce Earth's technological footprint if needed. As the meeting ended, Lisa received an urgent message from the Lunar Observatory. New readings showed unusual activity just beyond Neptune's orbit, objects moving faster than any natural body should, following precise trajectories toward the inner solar system. 30. Harvesters had arrived earlier than expected. Earth's time was running out. Earth changed overnight. As news of the approaching harvester ship spread from government to public, panic gave way to a strange, determined unity. People around the world prepared for what might be humanity's final stand. Lisa Morgan hadn't slept in days. The Colorado facility had become the center of Earth's defense efforts, with scientists and military personnel working around the clock. Her small team had grown to hundreds as experts from every field were brought in to help. The King. Scout ships will reach Jupiter's orbit in 3 days, Dr. Peter Novak reported during the morning briefing. The astronomer pointed to tracking data on the main screen. We count 7 vessels, each about the size of a small aircraft carrier. General Carter studied the projections. And the main fleet? Still beyond Neptune, but moving fast, Peter replied. At least 30 larger ships based on our scans. Lisa stepped forward with her report. We've made progress adapting some of the archivist's defensive technology. The upgraded satellite network is now online, giving us early detection capabilities beyond anything we had before. Frank Moore added, and Dr. Henry Jackson's team has retrofitted 3 experimental spacecraft with weapons based on the archivist's designs. They won't be a match for the harvester fleet, but they might slow down the scout ships. General Carter nodded. What about the masking plan? Ready to implement, Lisa said. If we give the order, we can shut down 80% of Earth's power, grid, and digital systems in a coordinated sequence. Based on the archivist's data, this should reduce our technological signature enough to make Earth appear pre-industrial or abandoned. The discussion was interrupted by Alan Winters rushing into the room, his face flushed with excitement. "We got another signal," he announced. "Not from the archivist, from somewhere else entirely." Everyone fell silent as Alan pulled up the new transmission on the main screen. Unlike the mathematical language they had become used to, this message contained simple visual symbols. "It's using a basic communication system," Alan explained. "Almost like it was designed for civilizations without the Concordate's knowledge." Lisa studied the symbols. They showed Earth, represented by its position in the solar system, then a series of coordinates, followed by what appeared to be instructions. "I think they're telling us to send a ship to these coordinates," Lisa said slowly. "It's within our solar system, near Europa, one of Jupiter's moons." "A trap?" someone suggested. "I don't think so," Alan replied. "The message repeats with variations of the same symbols, like they're trying everything they can to make us understand. And look, at this part, it shows small ships hiding from larger ones." General Carter didn't take long to decide. "We can't ignore this. Captain Steve Bennett's ship is already on standby for reconnaissance. Have him change course to these coordinates." The USS Defender, Earth's most advanced spacecraft, had been retrofitted with technology based on the archivist's designs. Originally planned as a mission to Mars, it had been quickly repurposed as a scout vessel to monitor the approaching Harvester fleet. Captain Bennett received his new orders with characteristic calm. "Europa it is," he confirmed via video link. "ETA 34 hours. While they waited, preparations continued on Earth. Cities implemented blackout protocols, people stocked emergency supplies, and military forces moved into position around key facilities. Not everyone believed in the threat. A movement led by radio host Roy Wilson had gained followers worldwide, claiming the alien messages were a hoax created to justify government control. Their protests grew increasingly disruptive, with some groups attacking power stations to prevent the planned shutdowns. Lisa watched news footage of a riot outside a government building, feeling a sense of despair. Even with extinction looming, humanity couldn't fully unite. 2 days later, Captain Bennett's ship reached the coordinates near Europa. The command center fell silent as they waited for his report. "There's something here," Bennett's voice came through, slightly distorted by distance. "Hidden in Europa's shadow. It's a ship, not one of ours, and not matching Harvester designs from the archivist's data." The video feed from the Defender showed a sleek vessel about half the size of Earth's ship. Its surface shimmered with a material unlike any human technology. "They're hailing us," Bennett reported. "Visual signal only." The screen switched to show the interior of the alien craft. The being that appeared wasn't what anyone expected. It looked almost human in basic shape. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. But its skin was a deep blue, and its large eyes had no visible pupils. It spoke in a series of clicks and whistles. A moment later, a computer-generated voice provided a rough translation. "We survivors. Hiding many cycles. Your signal received. Harvesters coming." Lisa leaned forward, her heart pounding. This was their first direct contact with a living alien. "Ask them who they are," General Carter instructed. "And how they can help us." Bennett relayed the questions. The alien responded, "We Nalari. Last of our kind. 73 survivors only. We hide in your system many cycles. Waiting for others. Many worlds hidden. Many survivors. Network forming." More questions revealed that the Nalari had been hiding in Earth's solar system for nearly 50 years. Their world had been one of the first destroyed by the Harvesters. Since then, they had perfected stealth technology that masked their ship from detection. "We help you hide," the Nalari offered. "No time fight. Must hide Earth. Make look empty." Lisa exchanged glances with General Carter. This confirmed their masking strategy. "Ask them about their hiding technology," Lisa suggested. The answer was not what they expected. The Nalari explained that hiding technology alone wasn't enough. The harvesters were thorough. They needed to believe Earth had already been processed. "We have plan," the Nalari said. "Need Earth help. Need ships." As Captain Bennett relayed the details of their proposal, Lisa felt the first real hope since discovering the alien messages. The plan was bold, but might work, using Earth's limited spacecraft fleet, equipped with Nalari stealth technology, to create the illusion that Earth had already been harvested and abandoned. "They're offering to share their stealth technology with us," Frank said, amazed. "This could make our masking plan much more effective." General Carter wasted no time. "Tell them we accept their help. Captain Bennett, prepare to receive their technology specialists aboard your ship." As the commands were relayed, Lisa studied the alien face on screen. She wondered how many others like them were hiding throughout the galaxy, survivors of the Harvester's rampage, waiting for the right moment to fight back. For the first time since opening that cosmic inbox of warnings, Lisa felt that Earth might have a chance after all. 1 week later, Earth was hardly recognizable. Cities once bright with lights now lay in controlled darkness. Power plants stood idle. Satellites orbited silently, most of their systems shut down. The planet's technological signature had been reduced to a mere whisper of its former self. In the Colorado Command Center, now running on isolated generators, Lisa Morgan watched as the Nalari plan took shape. 3 of their kind had come to Earth, bringing their advanced stealth technology. They were strange yet familiar. Blue-skinned beings with large, pupilless eyes who moved with careful precision in Earth's gravity. "The scout ships have passed Mars orbit," Dr. Peter Novak reported. "They'll reach Earth in approximately 12 hours. General Carter studied the holographic display showing the positions of all vessels in the solar system. "Are our ships in position?" "Yes," Frank Moore confirmed. "Captain Bennett's Defender and the 2 other retrofitted vessels are at the designated coordinates. The Nalari ship is maintaining position behind the moon." The plan they had developed was Earth's best hope. Using the Nalari stealth technology combined with what they had learned from the archivist's data, they would create the illusion that Earth had already been processed by the harvesters. The 3 Earth ships, along with the Nalari vessel, would project holographic images of debris fields and radiation signatures that mimicked the aftermath of a harvester attack. Meanwhile, Earth itself would remain in technological blackout, with only essential systems running on isolated power sources that couldn't be detected from space. "What about the Wilson situation?" General Carter asked. Lisa frowned. The followers of radio host Roy Wilson had become increasingly dangerous. Refusing to believe in the alien threat, they had attacked several key facilities attempting to bring power systems back online, which would reveal Earth's presence to the harvesters. "Security forces have secured the major power distribution centers," she reported. "But there are still isolated groups trying to restore city grids in several locations." The next 12 hours passed in tense anticipation. Everyone in the command center knew that humanity's survival hung in the balance. If their deception failed, there would be no second chance. As the Harvester scout ships approached Earth orbit, the command center fell silent. On the main screen, they watched through long-range cameras as the alien vessels, black angular shapes against the stars, moved with precise formation. "They're beginning their scan," Alan Winters said, monitoring the signals. "Our detection systems are picking up energy pulses consistent with the archivist's data on harvester scanning technology." Lisa held her breath. Would the deception work? Had they understood the archivist's information correctly? Had the Nalari technology been properly integrated with Earth's systems? Long minutes passed. The scout ships continued their orbit, methodically, scanning the planet below. "They're sending signals back to their main fleet," Alan reported. "I'm trying to decode them based on what we learned from the archivist." More tense minutes passed. Then Alan looked up, his face showing cautious hope. "They're reporting that Earth shows signs of previous processing," he said. "They're classifying us as Category 7 standard extraction complete, whatever that means." A wave of relief swept through the command center, but Lisa remained cautious. "Keep monitoring," she said. "This might just be preliminary findings." Her caution proved warranted. 2 hours later, one of the scout ships broke formation and descended to a lower orbit. It began a more detailed scan, focusing on North America. "Something's wrong," Frank said. "They've detected an anomaly." Lisa's mind raced. What had they missed? Then a report came in from a security team in Chicago. Wilson's followers had managed to restore power to several city blocks, creating a bright technological signature in the middle of what should have been darkness. "We need to shut it down immediately," General Carter ordered, but everyone knew it was too late. The harvesters had seen it. The scout ship changed course, heading directly toward Chicago. 2 more broke formation and began wider scans of the planet. "They know," Lisa said quietly. "They know we're still here." The command center erupted into action. Orders were given to implement their backup plan, a direct defense using the limited weapons they had developed from the archivist's data. But before Earth's defenses could fully activate, something unexpected happened. The Nalari ship emerged from behind the moon, along with 6 other vessels that had been hidden, ships of different designs and origins. "More survivors," Alan whispered, watching the screen in amazement. The alien fleet moved with coordinated precision, surrounding the Harvester scout ships. Energy weapons unlike anything humans had ever seen lanced between the vessels. 2 of the Harvester scouts were disabled immediately, their systems overloaded by the targeted attacks. The command center received a transmission from the Nalari ship. "More come. Many survivors unite. Earth signal woke us all." Lisa suddenly understood. Earth's attempts to contact the coordinates provided by the archivist hadn't just reached the Nalari. They had alerted other hidden survivors throughout nearby systems. The battle above Earth was brief, but fierce. The 7 survivor ships, though, smaller than the Harvester scouts, wielded technology specifically designed to combat them. Within an hour, all 7 scout ships had been neutralized, but the main Harvester fleet was still approaching. Earth had perhaps 2 days before they arrived, and this time they would come prepared for resistance. Lisa and the leadership team met with representatives from the survivor species who had come to Earth's aid. Besides the Nalari, there were beings from 6 other worlds, all survivors of Harvester attacks, all hiding and building their strength over decades or centuries. "United now," said the Nalari leader, whose name sounded like Zirith. "Time to fight back, not just hide." The other alien leaders agreed. They had been watching and waiting, gathering intelligence on the Harvesters, developing technologies to counter them. "Your warning system woke us," said a tall, insect-like being that translated its name as Keeper. "Many years we stay separate, afraid. Now we join." Together they formed a plan. The survivors would combine their fleets, small but powerful, while Earth would serve as a base of operations. The archivist's database, combined with the knowledge each survivor species brought, would allow them to predict the Harvester's tactics. 2 days later, when the main Harvester fleet arrived, they found not a helpless planet, but a united force waiting for them. The battle that followed was the first major defeat the Harvesters had suffered in centuries. It was not the end of the war. The Harvesters still controlled vast regions of the galaxy, but it was the beginning of a resistance that would grow, stronger with each passing year. 6 months after that first battle, Lisa Morgan stood in a new facility built to serve as headquarters for what they now called the New Concordat. Representatives from 17 survivor species now worked together, using Earth as their central coordination point. As she looked at the star map showing known Harvester locations and survivor outposts, Lisa thought about how it all began, with decades-old messages that no one had properly understood until it was almost too late. Earth had finally opened its cosmic inbox, and in doing so, had not just saved itself, but had become the catalyst for a resistance that might someday reclaim the galaxy.